Have you ever felt like time is slipping through your fingers? Like you're running, chasing, giving, but at the end of the day, you wonder, was it worth it? Time is the one thing you can never get back. Every hour, every decision, every distraction, it all adds up. And the question is, are you spending your time building your purpose, or are you pouring it into things that drain you? If you're caught up in everyone else's business, worried about what they think, consumed by their problems, then you're giving away the most precious gift God has given you, your time. And when you give your time to the wrong things, you rob yourself of growth, peace, and the destiny God has prepared for you. The Bible says in Ephesians 5 verse 16, "Make the most of every opportunity because the days are evil." That means you can't afford to waste a single moment. You're called to walk with wisdom, to guard your time, to invest in what truly matters. Today, I want to share 6 powerful principles that will shift your focus and help you reclaim your time. But before we start, declare it with me. I choose to focus on what matters. I will not waste my time. Now, let's step into transformation. Stop comparing. Start becoming. Comparison is a silent thief. It robs you of joy, peace, and purpose. And yet, many spend their days trapped in a cycle of measuring themselves against the success, beauty, and achievements of others. This is not just a distraction, it is a deception. The world bombards you with images, narratives, and illusions designed to make you question your own worth. Social media, advertisements, and even casual conversations can plant seeds of doubt, whispering, "You are not enough. You should be further ahead. You should look different, be richer, be more successful." And so you scroll, you compare, and you wonder, am I falling behind? But hear me clearly. You were never meant to run someone else's race. Your journey is yours alone. The moment you compare, you step off the path God has set before you. You exchange divine purpose for worldly pressure. And that, my friend, is the greatest danger of all. The hidden cost of comparison. Comparison doesn't just steal time, it steals identity. The more you fixate on someone else's journey, the more disconnected you become from your own. Instead of walking confidently in your calling, you hesitate. You shrink. You strive to become a version of yourself that was never intended to exist. But let's expose the lie. No one's timeline is the same. No one's calling is identical. God never created you to be a copy. He created you to be original, to walk in a purpose so unique that no comparison can define it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." What if you stopped looking outward for validation and instead looked inward for transformation? What if, instead of wishing for someone else's success, you cultivated your own? The truth is, every second spent comparing is a second lost in building your destiny. Time is the most valuable resource you have. It cannot be saved, paused, or recovered. And when you stand before God at the end of your journey, He won't ask how you measured up to others. He will ask, did you fulfill what I placed in you? Redirect your focus. If you want to reclaim your time, your peace, and your power, stop looking around and start looking within. Self-awareness is the first step to true growth. You cannot build on a foundation you do not understand. Know yourself. Identify your strengths. Confront your weaknesses. Without this awareness, any attempt at progress will be aimless. The great philosopher Epictetus once said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." What does this mean for you? It means alignment. It means walking in the fullness of who you are rather than trying to fit into a mold never meant for you. So today, set your focus straight. No more measuring. No more distractions. The only comparison worth making is between who you were yesterday and who you are becoming today. Your call to action. This is your moment. No more looking to the left or the right. No more measuring your worth by someone else's highlight reel. It is time to break free from the weight of comparison and step fully into your calling. Start small. Set one goal today that aligns with your purpose. Commit to progress, not perfection. Every step forward is a victory. Have you ever wondered why some people rise above challenges while others remain stuck in comparison and self-doubt? What if I told you that the key to unlocking your destiny is already within you. But to claim it, you must shift your focus from the world's validation to the divine path set before you. Let me take you to a powerful biblical story, the story of David. When the prophet Samuel came to anoint the next king of Israel, he was led to the house of Jesse. Jesse proudly presented his eldest sons, strong and impressive men, believing one of them must be God's chosen one. But God rejected them all. Why? Because man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16, verse 7. David, a mere shepherd boy, overlooked and underestimated, was God's chosen one. Why? Because he was focused on his own journey, tending his sheep, developing his skills, and growing in faith. He wasn't standing in comparison with his brothers. He was preparing for his divine assignment. Now, let's bring this principle into today's world. Consider Oprah Winfrey. In the 1980s, she was not a dominant force in television. She faced rejection, criticism, and countless obstacles. But what did she do? She refused to compare herself to others. She didn't model her career after existing television hosts. Instead, she carved her own path, staying true to her vision. She developed a show that didn't just entertain. It inspired, transformed, and healed. And because she stayed faithful to her calling, the Oprah Winfrey Show became one of the most impactful television programs in history. The lesson here is clear. When you stop looking at others and focus on your own journey, you step into God's divine plan for your life. Each small victory is a stepping stone. Every obstacle overcome is proof that God is molding you for something greater. The Bible says, "Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin." Zechariah 4 verse 10. Every step you take in faith builds your confidence, strengthens your foundation, and prepares you for what God has in store. But let me ask you, how much time have you wasted today watching someone else's success instead of building your own? How often do you scroll through social media, feeling inadequate because someone else's life appears more glamorous? The enemy uses comparison as a weapon to distract and discourage you. But God is calling you higher. He is saying, "Fix your eyes on me. Trust in my plan for you." The danger of comparison doesn't just rob you of joy, it steals your sense of purpose. Look at Peter. When Jesus called him to walk on water, Peter stepped out in faith. But the moment he took his eyes off Jesus and looked at the waves, he began to sink. Matthew 14, verse 29 to 30. Isn't that what happens when we focus on others instead of our own divine path? The moment we shift our eyes from God's plan to someone else's journey, we begin to doubt, to falter, to sink into fear and insecurity. So how do you break free? The answer is simple. Embrace progress over perfection. Many people never step into their calling because they are waiting for the perfect moment. But God doesn't call the perfect. He perfects those he calls. Look at Moses. When God called him to lead Israel out of Egypt, Moses hesitated. He said, "Lord, I am slow of speech." Exodus 4 verse 10. But did God wait until Moses became a perfect speaker? No. He used Moses just as he was and equipped him along the way. Perfection is a trap. It paralyzes you. But progress, daily, intentional growth, moves you forward. The Apostle Paul understood this when he wrote, "Not that I've already obtained all this or have already arrived at my goal, but I press on to take hold of that for which Christ Jesus took hold of me." Philippians 3 verse 12. The goal is not flawlessness. The goal is faithfulness. Maybe you're facing negativity, people doubting you, situations discouraging you. But remember this, Jesus himself was surrounded by doubters. Even his own brothers didn't believe in him at first, John 7 verse 5. Yet he remained steadfast in his mission. And because he stayed focused, he changed the world. What is stopping you from sharing the gospel with those you love? Is it fear, doubt, the belief that they won't listen? The enemy wants you to think you're not ready, not equipped, not the right person. But let me tell you the truth. God has called you. He has chosen you to be a light in your family, to be a voice of truth in the lives of those who have yet to know him. Think about this. How did you come to know the Lord? Was it through a friend, a family member, a preacher, or perhaps a simple conversation that planted a seed in your heart? What if that person had stayed silent? What if they had let fear keep them from sharing the message that ultimately changed your life? You're now in that position for someone else. Will you step into it? The gospel is not just good news. It is life-changing news. It is the power of salvation for all who believe. And yet, how often do we hesitate to share it with those closest to us? How often do we convince ourselves that someone else will reach them? But what if you are that someone? What if God placed you in your family, in your circle of friends, in your workplace for this very purpose? Jesus himself commanded us in Mark 16, verse 15, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation." That includes your home, your relatives, your co-workers, those who are already in your life. Do you believe their salvation is worth a conversation? Worth a moment of courage? Prayer is where it begins. Have you been praying for your loved ones? Not just a quick prayer, but a deep, fervent intercession for their salvation? Have you asked God to soften their hearts, to open their eyes, to remove the barriers that keep them from accepting the truth? Have you prayed for the wisdom and boldness to speak when the opportunity arises? Because when you pray, heaven moves. When you pray, God prepares the way. When you pray, strongholds are broken and chains begin to fall. Think about Paul. He was once a persecutor of Christians, but through the prayers and obedience of others, his heart was transformed, and he became one of the greatest messengers of the gospel. If God could change Paul, can he not change your brother, your sister, your friend? Can he not reach the hardest hearts, the most resistant minds? Of course, he can, but will you stand in the gap for them? Will you be the one who intercedes and then steps out in faith to share? Some might say, but what if they reject me? Let me ask you, what if they don't? What if this is the moment God has been preparing them for? What if your words are the confirmation they've been waiting for? And even if they don't accept it right away, know this: no word of God ever returns void. Every seed planted has the potential to grow. Your job is obedience. The results are in God's hands. Sharing the gospel is not about having all the answers. It's about having a heart willing to speak. You don't need to be a theologian. You don't need to have a perfect script. You just need to share what Jesus has done in your life. Testimonies carry power. Your story, your transformation, your journey with Christ. These are undeniable. People can argue theology, but they cannot argue with a changed life. Mastering time, a path to self-respect. Ultimately, protecting your time is the greatest act of self-respect. It declares that you value your potential, your goals, and your future. When you stop letting distractions dictate your life, you begin to take control of your destiny. The teachings of Marcus Aurelius remind us that time is finite and precious. How we spend our time reflects who we are and who we are becoming. By mastering the art of time management, we not only enhance our productivity, but also demonstrate respect for ourselves. Stoic philosophy encourages us to value not just the results, but also the process. Every moment spent on purposeful work is a moment well invested. By cultivating this mindset, we realize that time isn't just a series of hours. It's the canvas on which we paint the life we desire. One of the most powerful tools we have in time management is building reasonable habits and schedules. Just as muscle training strengthens the body, cultivating time management habits fortifies our ability to focus. Start small by dedicating 15 minutes a day to an uninterrupted task that aligns with your goals. Over time, you'll find these small moments accumulating into a powerful habit that supports your growth and progress in every area of life. An effective strategy is to allocate specific times to check emails and social media, ensuring these activities do not consume your entire day. Similar to organizing a reasonable work schedule, purposeful time management protects your energy and focus. Effective time management doesn't mean filling every moment of your day with activities. It's about focusing on the quality of what we do. For instance, if you're working on a task that requires deep thinking, it's crucial to give yourself the mental space to engage with the work uninterrupted. At the same time, we need to surround ourselves with people who respect our time. The people we associate with significantly influence how we use our time. If you're surrounded by individuals who constantly distract you or drain your energy, it's time to establish clear boundaries. Stoics like Epictetus emphasize the importance of choosing friends wisely, as their influence can either propel you forward or hold you back. By learning to say no to relationships that do not help you grow, you create space for those who uplift and support your development. Equally important is eliminating negativity, whether it comes from external factors or from within our own minds. Negative influences can cloud our vision, distract us from our goals, and sap our energy. Identifying and removing sources of negativity is essential, whether they stem from people, environments, or our own thoughts. When we learn to set boundaries and shield ourselves from negativity, we create a mental space where positive thoughts, ideas, and actions can flourish. In some cases, limiting negative relationships may require us to make difficult decisions. There might be a colleague who consistently undermines your efforts or a friend who constantly brings drama into your life. It's crucial to recognize that your time and energy are too valuable to waste on such relationships. Sometimes, this means having tough conversations to set clear expectations or, in extreme cases, cutting ties entirely. When we do this, it's not just about protecting our time. It's about honoring ourselves. How do we start rejecting distractions? The first step is to identify and minimize sources of distraction in our lives. We often find ourselves caught up in meaningless social media scrolling, responding to unimportant emails, or participating in purposeless meetings. These are the time thieves of the modern world. By setting clear boundaries and choosing to disengage from these distractions, we can create more space for what truly matters. Looking ahead, the next clear step is that focusing on yourself becomes the next crucial part of this journey towards self-mastery. How can you concentrate on what truly matters? How can you make choices that align with your deepest values and aspirations? Let us explore the value of focusing on yourself, a practice that not only helps you find inner peace, but also elevates every aspect of your life. You were not created to be distracted. Focus on your calling. What would your life look like if you finally gave yourself permission to focus entirely on what God has placed in your heart? This is not a call to selfishness, but an invitation to step into divine alignment, to reclaim your time, your energy, and your purpose so you can become the person God has destined you to be. The enemy thrives on distractions. He knows that if he can keep your mind scattered, your time drained, and your spirit entangled in meaningless obligations, you will never step into your true calling. But hear this: God did not create you to be stretched thin, constantly giving away your best energy to things that do not serve your destiny. He called you to be effective, powerful, and purposeful. Think about an athlete preparing for the Olympics. Every single training session is intentional. Every meal, every hour of sleep, every repetition in the gym is designed to make them stronger, faster, and more resilient. They do not waste time on activities that weaken them. And yet, so many people live their lives without this level of focus. They allow distractions, toxic influences, and unnecessary commitments to drain them, leaving them exhausted and spiritually unfulfilled. But today, that cycle breaks. Today, you reclaim your focus and step boldly into your purpose. The power of eliminating what does not serve you. Jesus himself demonstrated this principle. He was intentional about his time, his energy, and his mission. He withdrew from crowds to pray. Luke 5, verse 16. He surrounded himself with disciples who aligned with his purpose, and he did not allow distractions to deter him from his assignment. If Jesus had to guard his focus, how much more must you? Look at your life right now. What is taking your time but giving you nothing in return? What conversations, habits, or obligations are draining you instead of fueling your growth? It's time to release them. The pruning process is not always comfortable, but it is necessary. A tree that is never pruned cannot bear abundant fruit. Imagine Jane, a woman juggling a demanding job and personal aspirations. She realized that endless social engagements and mindless scrolling were stealing the time she needed to invest in her goals. So she made a decision. She began saying no to time-wasting conversations, No to empty distractions. No to anything that pulled her away from her purpose. That one decision transformed her life, leading to new opportunities, promotions, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. What could happen in your life if you did the same? Discipline, the key to unstoppable momentum. Now, focus alone is not enough. If you want to see transformation, you must combine focus with discipline. Discipline is the bridge between your dreams and your destiny. It is what keeps you moving when motivation fades. Think of a student preparing for a major exam. On the days when they feel tired, uninspired, or discouraged, it is not their emotions that carry them forward. It is their discipline. They study when they don't feel like it. They push through when others quit. That is the difference between those who dream and those who achieve. Proverbs 13 verse 4 says, "The soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, but the soul of the diligent is richly supplied." God blesses those who are diligent. Your success is not about talent alone. It is about your daily habits, your consistency, and your unwavering commitment to growth. Trust the process. Your breakthrough is coming. But hear me, even when you focus, even when you discipline yourself, there will still be seasons of waiting. And this is where many people give up. They assume that because they don't see immediate results, their efforts are in vain. But that is a lie. A gardener does not plant a seed and expect to see fruit overnight. They water it. They nurture it. They trust that even when nothing is visible above ground, something is happening beneath the surface. Your life works the same way. Just because you don't see results right now does not mean growth isn't happening. God is working behind the scenes. Your breakthrough is coming, but will you remain faithful in the process? Your time is your most valuable currency. Spend it wisely. Time is not something you can get back. Every minute you spend is an investment. So the question is, are you investing in distractions or are you investing in your destiny? Imagine if you treated your time the way you treat your money. Would you waste it on things that do not serve you? Or would you invest it wisely, ensuring that every hour brings you closer to your calling? If your health is a priority, then your schedule should reflect it. Commit to exercise, rest, and nourishment. If your relationships matter, dedicate undistracted time to them. If your purpose is calling you, clear out the clutter and make room for what God is doing in your life. This is your moment. Step into your destiny. Right now, you are standing at a crossroads. You can continue as you are, distracted, drained, and unfulfilled. Or you can make a decision that will change everything. Decide today that you will no longer live passively. Decide today that you will protect your focus, eliminate distractions, and move with purpose. Decide today that you will step fully into the person God created you to be. Because when you focus on what truly matters, when you align yourself with God's plan, and when you refuse to be derailed by distractions, nothing can stop you. Your destiny is waiting. Will you claim it? How often do you find yourself stretched thin by the demands of others? How many times have you agreed to take on responsibilities that detract from your true goals? The art of saying no may seem simple, but it is one of the most powerful tools you can wield to protect your time, energy, and focus. Can you imagine what your life would look like if you stopped saying yes to everything, freeing yourself to focus on what truly matters? Think about the story of Jesus, who knew when to step away from crowds to pray, to reconnect with his purpose and his Father. He set boundaries to protect his mission. If he could do it, why can't you? In life, boundaries are not just guidelines, they are essential for growth. Without boundaries, we become vulnerable to the demands of others, leaving us with little energy for our own journey. This isn't about being selfish. It's about making sure you stay aligned with your purpose. Take, for example, a freelancer who sets clear working hours. By doing so, they ensure that their time is respected both professionally and personally. This simple act of boundary setting not only maximizes productivity, but also protects their peace of mind. The same is true for you. When you set boundaries, you are safeguarding your own well-being and ensuring that your energy is spent on what aligns with your personal goals. The power to focus on yourself, to protect your time and energy, is a gift that requires intentionality. It's a decision you must make every single day. Just like in the story of Nehemiah, who faced great opposition as he rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem, Nehemiah remained focused. He didn't let distractions or insults divert him from his calling. He set his boundaries, knowing that the work ahead required his full commitment. Can you say the same about your own life? Are you focusing on building your personal wall, or are you allowing distractions to tear it down? The truth is, focusing on yourself is not a selfish act. It's an act of honoring your God-given potential. It's about showing up as your best self, not for others, but for the divine calling that is on your life. The famous Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Are you truly showing up for yourself? Or are you too busy trying to meet the expectations of others?" Now, let's dive into a principle that will reshape how you approach growth: resilience through self-focus. How often do you find yourself paralyzed by the pursuit of perfection? How many times have you avoided progress because you felt it wasn't good enough? This mindset is the enemy of growth. Instead of striving for perfection, what if you embrace the beauty of progress? What if every small, consistent step you take led to a more resilient version of yourself? Look at the story of Peter walking on water. His faith in Jesus enabled him to take that first step, but as soon as he focused on the storm, he began to sink. What does this tell us? The storms of life, failure, setbacks, and difficulties are inevitable. But what matters is where you direct your focus. When you focus on progress, the storms lose their power over you. Like a marathon runner who celebrates every extra mile run, every second shaved off the clock, we should focus on the progress we're making. Each small victory builds resilience, strengthening us for the next challenge. This mindset isn't just about achieving more, it's about learning more. In the face of failure, we find opportunities for growth. Marcus Aurelius taught us that mistakes are not failures, but rather moments for improvement. In his meditations, he urges us to embrace setbacks as catalysts for greater wisdom. What can we learn from our failures? How can we adjust our path and continue moving forward? This is why resilience is so critical. When you focus on progress, you train yourself to handle life's curveballs with grace. Picture a professional working on a project that's suddenly interrupted by unexpected circumstances. Instead of letting the change derail them, they focus on what they can control, reassessing priorities and finding creative solutions. The flexibility that comes with focusing on progress is invaluable. It allows you to pivot, adapt, and ultimately exceed your own expectations. Finally, let's talk about feedback. How often do you resist feedback because you see it as criticism? What if instead you viewed it as a divine tool for your growth? Just as iron sharpens iron, feedback sharpens us, guiding us towards greater success. Think about the story of King David, who, though anointed as king, had to endure years of training under the mentorship of others. He didn't just accept feedback, he sought it out. That humility led him to become the greatest king of Israel. Are you willing to seek feedback and use it to refine your life? Or will you continue to stand still, believing you know all the answers? Imagine you are standing in the middle of a room full of noise, where everyone is talking about success, fame, and distant goals. They are eagerly discussing, trying to impress with their achievements. But in the corner of the room, there is one person who says nothing. He sits quietly, his gaze deep, as if questioning himself. Is what I'm doing truly important to me? Or am I just trying to gain the recognition of others? This is the core lesson that Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor of Rome, emphasized. He was not only a great leader, but also someone who understood the power of patience and focusing on what truly matters, the personal journey. When you stop wasting time on things beyond your control, you will realize that focusing on yourself is not just a choice, but a deeply meaningful way of life. Every day, you make hundreds of choices, small decisions that, though seemingly insignificant, shape who you are. From how you choose to react to challenges to how you decide to spend your time. Each decision is a brick in the foundation of your future. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in Meditations, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." This not only reminds you of your power to control but also affirms that focusing on your personal journey is the true way to honor yourself when you focus on what matters most to you. A vivid example of this is the story of a marathon runner who does not race to be the fastest, but to overcome himself. With every step, he does not look at the runner beside him, nor care about judgment. He only focuses on his own breath and footsteps. In the end, he not only completes the race, but also experiences the profound meaning of commitment, truth in action, and dignity in will. A progress-focused mindset encourages acceptance of imperfection as a natural and necessary part of growth. Often, the fear of making mistakes stifles creativity and limits our potential. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In the pursuit of personal development, perseverance becomes a companion. Building something meaningful, whether a skill, career, or relationship, requires time and consistent effort. Resilience through self-focused work means committing to the process rather than clinging to immediate results. Like a gardener who understands limits, they recognize that seeds planted today will not bloom tomorrow. They nurture and wait, knowing growth is happening beneath the surface. This mindset fosters a sense of fulfillment, as every stage of progress becomes a joy, reinforcing the value of presence. The long-term benefits of focusing on the process are immense. By shedding the burden of perfection, we experience greater joy and satisfaction in the journey itself. Success is no longer defined by an unattainable ideal, but by the fulfillment found in consistent effort and harmony with oneself. Over time, this approach builds a foundation of resilience and strength, equipping us with the ability to face challenges with composure and determination. By staying true to our values and embracing incremental growth, we cultivate a life filled with purpose and meaning. Remember, resilience through self-focus is a transformative approach to life's challenges. By prioritizing progress over perfection, we nurture adaptability, accept imperfection, and develop the presence necessary for sustained growth. Stoic wisdom teaches us that strength lies within ourselves, and through focusing inward, we can achieve a life of wholeness and meaning. You were created for greatness. From the moment you took your first breath, you were destined to walk a path that was uniquely yours. But there's something we must understand. Greatness doesn't come without struggle. Life will throw challenges at you, obstacles that seem insurmountable, judgments, failures, temptations that tempt you to quit. But I tell you now, these very obstacles are not hindrances, they are opportunities. They're the stepping stones on the road to the legacy you are meant to leave. The truth is, these struggles are your teacher. They are shaping you into the person you are destined to become. Imagine standing at the foot of a towering mountain. The summit seems far out of reach, yet you know that with every painful step, every thorn that pricks your skin, you're growing stronger. Every scratch, every bruise, every moment of fatigue is preparing you for the greatness that awaits at the top. And as you climb, you come to understand something profound. The journey itself, not the destination, is where the transformation happens. This is the principle that Marcus Aurelius taught us. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. As you focus on your own path, you come to realize that your journey is not about competing with others. You are not in a race. You are carving out your own space, where the direction and speed are yours to determine. And as you take this to heart, the pressure of comparison, of wondering if you measure up to someone else, begins to fade away. You no longer need external validation because you find your worth within. And it is here, in the quiet moments of self-reflection, that you discover what truly matters. Ask yourself, am I living in alignment with my values? It is in this inquiry that your true strength is found. Your life is a series of priorities, and when you learn to focus on your own values, you will find peace that the world cannot give. Let me share with you a story to illuminate this truth. There was once a gardener who dedicated his life to nurturing a tree. He didn't concern himself with the chatter of those around him. nor did he seek their approval. He simply tended to his tree day by day. Years passed, and the tree began to bloom, bearing fruit, and the people took notice. They admired the tree and praised the gardener for his work. But to the gardener, the reward was not in the praise of others. The true reward was in the quiet, consistent care he gave to the tree every single day. Now, take a moment and reflect. Your journey, like the gardener's, is unique to you. There will be moments of exhaustion, times when you question whether you're on the right path, moments when you think about stopping. But I tell you, even when you feel like you're not making progress, remember that every step, no matter how small, counts. Even when you feel weary, your persistence is a sign of your inner strength. So, be patient with yourself. The world may not understand your journey, but your perseverance is a testament to the greatness unfolding within you. Don't waste your time on what you cannot control. Instead, focus on the choices that you can make today, the decisions that will move you toward a more meaningful life. Let every action be a step toward the future you desire. As you do this, you will understand that focusing on yourself, on your values, on your growth, is not just the key to success, but the path to a more fulfilling and impactful life. We've learned today the power of focusing inward, of embracing challenges as opportunities, and the wisdom found in Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that what stands in our way is the way, and it's time we embrace that truth. It is only through mastering ourselves and focusing on what truly matters that we can unlock our greatest potential. So I ask you now, what are the things in your life that make you feel like you're wasting time? What will you do today to change that? I want to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below. If this message has inspired you, type 1 in the comments to affirm your commitment to change. Or, if you feel there's something we can improve, type 0. We are here, always listening, striving to help you on this journey. Don't forget to like this video if it resonated with you. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe so that you don't miss the next step in your transformative journey. A new video will appear soon, and I encourage you to watch it. Together, we will continue to build inner strength and find the inspiration that will guide us to a brighter tomorrow. I look forward to walking this path with you. See you in the next video.